Towns in New South Wales are at risk of running out of water. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, I'm Florian Heiser and welcome to another episode of Heiser Says. I have my stein of coffee and I thought today we would talk about water security or fresh water. And we'll start with this article that I know is a month old, but I think it's a good starting point to discuss these issues. So New South Wales towns, including Dubbo and Tamworth, face water emergency within months. Just within months. And what we'll do is we'll have a look here at where Tamworth is. So you've got Sydney down here. Newcastle down here. Sydney over here, where, I put pins for other properties. So you've got Newcastle here, and then Tamworth is here. So it's not too far away. And this is one of the towns that is at risk of running out of fresh water. And we're not talking that far from a major metropolitan area. So in some central and western areas on Murray-Darling, no groundwater can be accessed by bores as dams run close to dry. Now, bores are, drilled down groundwater, and that's concerning. So towns in western and central New South Wales, including Dubbo, Nyangang, Cobar, Walgett and Tamworth, are facing a crisis in their water supplies within a few months unless it rains, prompting emergency planning by water authorities. And on properties throughout the Murray-Darling Basin, irrigators are bracing for their water entitlements to be reduced to around 10% of their usual allocations, which will severely constrain agricultural production. Can we all see the potential flow-on effects of this, guys? Can we see the potential flow-on effects through the rest of the economy? It will ripple through and affect people in the cities. A week before the election, the Murray-Darling Basin Authority issued a sobering assessment of the outlook for the Murray-Darling River system in the communique from its monthly meeting. Since July 2018, inflows to the River Murray system, shouldn't it be the Murray River system? Anyway, have remained in the driest 7% of records, the head of river management said. In other words, in the 114 years of record keeping, this result is among the 9 to 10 driest years, and it's getting worse. This will ignite new political challenges for the re-elected Morrison government, both in the bush and among city voters. Thanks to the mass fish kills at Menindee Lake, have become aware that all is not well with the $13 billion plan. The New South Wales government this week sent a team to 13 of the state's towns to discuss what to do about their water supplies and to assess the impact on businesses of what is unfolding as a prolonged and severe drought. For some towns, the crisis will hit within 1 to 3 months, depending on whether there is any rainfall. For others, it will be a little longer. The Warragamba Dam, which services towns like Dubbo, Cobar and Nyangang on the Macquarie River, is at 5.9%, and even with stringent water restrictions will be empty within 12 months on current trajectory. The problem is there is no groundwater that can be accessed by bores, so authorities are exploring the option of building emergency pipelines. So there you go, they're looking at building emergency pipelines. So here you go, you've got Keep It Dam, 0.9. Wow, look at these, 64%. Wow, look at these levels. These are not good. In Tamworth, there might be water for the town from the Peel River, but if it stops flowing, the chicken processing plant downstream has just 3 to 4 days of water in storage and will need to close. Ditto the copper mining town at Cobar. Wow. In the northern basin of the Murray-Darling, irrigators can expect to get zero allocations for low security water entitlements and around 10% for their high security water holdings. The allocations for the next year will be announced on 1st of July, though they can be upgraded if it rains. But the authorities are worried. I think a lot of people are worried. Reynolds told The Guardian and MDBA was now planning towards a dry scenario for managing the river system through 2019-2020. Rainfall in the northern part of the Murray-Darling Basin typically comes between September and November, he said. But at this stage, there are ominous signs it will stay dry, and this follows an extremely dry 12 months. That's not a good sign. The Bureau of Meteorology said its indicators have been close to El Nino thresholds over the past several months, signaling a prolonged dry weather pattern. But signs have emerged of a weakening of these patterns. As a result, the outlook has been downgraded to El Nino Watch. This means the chance of El Nino developing in 2019 is approximately 50%, which is still double the normal likelihood, BOM said. That's still pretty high. With little rainfall and very dry soils, almost no water is reaching the river system, and inland dams are falling. Unless spring rains fall, the Murray-Darling Basin will be in the grip of a crisis. The cotton industry in the north of New South Wales and southern Queensland is likely to plant about a quarter of the crops it planted in 2017 and will rely on groundwater to survive, said the General Manager of Cotton Australia, Michael Murray. In the south, there is a real prospect of a crisis along the Murray as irrigators struggle to get the allocations they need to water permanent crops such as almonds, citrus and grapes. The dam system in the Murray-Darling overall is at 28%, with just 6,385 gigalitres in storage. But this figure masks the problem. More than a third of the water is in the Dartmouth Dam in northeast Victoria, which is currently 64% full. Well, there you go. That's why averages aren't the good way of measuring these things. We saw it in this diagram here. Look at that. That's just, well, maybe our futurist was just reading the paper. On the Darling, many dams are effectively empty, such as the Keepit Dam on the Naomi, with just 0.9%, the Barradong Dam on the Macquarie River at 6%, and the Menadee Lakes at just 1.1%. It means if the prolonged dry continues, many towns will face the same sorts of crisis as Walgett, which ran out of water last summer and was forced to truck in water or rely on bore water with high salinity levels. Reynolds said the water availability will be allocated to critical human water needs and stock watering first, followed by high security water entitlements, then low security water. Allocations are a state function and are continually reviewed, he said. But he said local security holders were likely to get zero allocations and lower. High security will be low allocations or even zero. Shoot. For irrigators, the current scenario is for almost no water to be available from the Darling, limited water from the Murray. South Australia has warned that high security allocations could be as low as 14% of the usual volume. And this has ripple-on effects to the entire economy. The MDBA was also briefed on the priorities for water for the environment during 2019-2020. During last summer, there were calls for both the state and federal politicians for environmental water to be made available for agriculture, despite the legislation preventing sales of Commonwealth environmental water except in very limited circumstances. But there will be almost no water available for environmental flows, as environmental water allocations will be reduced in the same proportion as other water holders. More mass fish kills will probably occur as the weather warms. The MDBA made note of the critical importance of environmental water during drought. This water can be used to preserve important habitats and refuges for animals, plants and birds of the basin. The priority will be publicly released by the MDBA in the coming months, it said. It is likely that the Agricultural and Water Minister, David Littleproud, a National Party MP from Queensland, will keep the challenging portfolio. He's already signalled he will look at measures to improve transparency and the administration of the plan as recommended by the Productivity Commission. Well, there you go. I mean, that just shows you, and the ABC has picked up on it as well. New dams and pipelines urgently needed, says the local government, as New South Wales supplies run drastically low. So, with towns across New South Wales at risk of running out of water within months, there are renewed calls for urgent upgrades to water storage infrastructure. With dam levels at near record lows, water restrictions are now enforced across many regions, while Sydney, Blue Mountains and Illawarra residents have had level 1 restrictions implemented on June 1. So Warragamba Dam, which supplies water to the Greater Sydney, is at 53% capacity, while Burrendong Dam in the Central West is at 5.7% capacity. Keepit Dam is at 0.9. We've read all of this here, and this is the ABC bringing attention to this issue. But one thing to consider one thing to consider, and before we have a look at all the dams, this is the which is proposed raising the height of the Warragamba Dam at a cost of $650 million. Yes, so they want to raise the height of that dam. Now, let's have a look at issues. Well, here, this is that dam there. But the Warragamba Dam plan, labelled extreme embarrassment. So the UN wants to have veto powers over one of Australia's dam. UNESCO committee says proposal to raise wall incompatible with the Blue Mountains World Heritage listings. So there you go. This is if you want to have the pride of having World Heritage listings for part of your country, you're essentially inviting, this committee to have a say over major infrastructure projects that will have flow-on effects through the entire economy, that will restrict, limit, and slow down our ability to make changes that are needed. Okay? Remember this, guys, when you're voting for this, when you sign that survey, going, oh yeah, that sounds nice. I think we need to have that World Heritage listed. Sure. People don't realize the unintended consequences these type of things can have. So traditional owners and the Blue Mountains Mayor has welcomed UNESCO's World Heritage Committee raising concerns about a proposal to raise the wall of the Warragamba Dam, saying it would be an embarrassment to the New South Wales government. Really? I thought the UN response was an embarrassment to the New South Wales government, putting their say into it. Well, that just shows you my perspective, doesn't it? The committee has asked Australia to submit an environmental impact statement for the controversial project before any decision is made. Well, there you go. Kaysen Brown, a Gundungurra woman and traditional custodian whose family was forced off their land when the dam was built in the 1940s, said it was an awesome decision that gave her hope the state government may not be able to raise the dam by at least 14 meters as planned. Okay, so they're forced off their land. Okay, that's sad, but sadly sometimes it has to happen. Were they compensated? If they weren't compensated, then they should be. But I'd put money that they probably were, or they were provided housing somewhere else. So I hope for it. I can't say I expect it, she told The Guardian Australia. This has been one step forward, two steps back. The New South Wales government has got a bit of a history of doing what they want regardless, so we'll keep going to try to stop these things going ahead. Why? Why do you want to stop it? To raise the height of the dam? So you lose, a bit more land around here? Why would you want to stop it? The dam's already there. We need the water. We have infrastructure problems. This keeps people alive. Okay? This keeps people alive. In the decision, the UNESCO committee noted concerns that raising the dam's wall by 14 meters was expected to increase the frequency and extent of flooding of the World Heritage listed site. Well, we need rain for that to happen, don't we? And, I mean, is this flooding or is it damming? What's the difference? The federal government responded on Thursday morning saying it recognised the importance of protecting the heritage area and would submit the environmental impact statement to the committee for review. We work closely with the World Heritage Committee and its advisory bodies, as we always do, to meet our obligations under the World Heritage Convention. So the dam provides water to 4.5 million people. 4.5 million people. I wonder how many of those are Indigenous too? Probably 2%? The proposal to raise the wall is expected to create an extra 995 gigalitre capacity to store floodwaters and reduce the flood risk to houses. Well, yeah. But a leaked report said this would permanently change the Blue Mountains. Well, yeah, of course it will. You're building a higher bloody dam, guys. It's not the end of the world. Which are World Heritage listed for their beauty, biodiversity, and indigenous sacred sites. It is home to more than 40 endangered plant and animal species. Well, they're going to die if we don't have any water. They're going to die. UNESCO has said the move would likely have an impact on the outstanding universal value of the mountains. Well, are they going to pay for our water? Will UNESCO truck water to Australia? Blue Mountains Mayor Mark Greenhill said the UNESCO decision will be read as a warning the World Heritage listing will be at risk if the dam expansion went ahead. What happened last night should be taken by the New South Wales government as an extreme embarrassment to them, he said. They've been called out on the international stage. The government wants to flood part of the iconic Blue Mountains, which is just insane. What's clear from the UNESCO report is they are in the view that the proposal will compromise the World Heritage. I mean, so there's a bit more politicking here. The proposal for inundation includes at least 300 known Aboriginal cultural sites which will be damaged. Okay, yep. Well, I understand the cultural significance of that, and I appreciate it. But if we have water scarcity and towns running out of water, things need to change. So let's have a look at. I'll bring up this document here, the definition of large dams. Now this is from ANCOLD, and I'm just looking down here to get their name right. It is the Australian National Committee on Large Dams Incorporated, and this is an apolitical group that has a whole lot of information on dams, if you want to learn about dams. So how do dams work? Dams store water in the reservoir during times of excess flow, so the water can be released from the reservoir during the times that natural flow are inadequate to meet the needs of water usage. So why are dams important? Dams are important because the water for drinking and bathing, water for industry, irrigation, water for power generation, for fishing and recreation, for other needs. So I'd say they are very, very important. And this is the definition of a large dam. A large dam is defined as one which has more than 50 meters in height measured from the lowest point of the general foundation to the crest of the dam. More than 10 meters in height, as in A, provided they comply with at least one of the following conditions. The crest is not less than 500 meters in length. Wow. The capacity of the reservoir formed by the dam is not less than 1 million cubic meters. The maximum flood discharge dealt with by the dam is not less than 2,000 cubic meters per second. The dam is of an unusual design. No dam less than 10 meters in height is included. Okay, so these are big dams, and we're going to have a look at the list of these dams here in Australia. So they've got the register here, and I've brought this Excel file, and you can see it here. You know, I need to get Excel to sponsor me for the amount of times I use it in their videos. Now, the dam that we were just discussing here, the Warragamba Dam, it's located in New South Wales. Okay, and let's have a look at some of the information about it now. You should be able to see that. Hang on, I'm just going to put full screen on. Yep, good. So I can see that. So what we have here was constructed. We'll have a look here at the top. Oh, wait a minute, it's because I'm in New South Wales. Will Australia do it? Okay, oh no, hang on. So this is the year it was constructed, special features, River City, and we've got here the purpose of the dam under this row. Now, the purpose of the dam, and we'll look here at some of the glossary and definitions that they have. So they've got, I'll link to all of this. Now, there's a sealing of the dam, all these things, the year of completion, and here's the purpose. And the ones that we want to just look at is flood control, particularly here in Queensland, but really water supply. So you'll find some dams, like some of the older ones, are now, they change, their uses change over time. They may have some flood control, they may have been originally built for water supply, but now they're primarily used for recreation. Okay, so we'll have a look here, and the dam here that they've got issues was built in the 1960s, Penrith, New South Wales, and the main use of it is S, which is for water supply. Then purpose 2 is H, which is hydroelectric. And we've got here, this is the catchment area, the spill capacity, and where is the dam volume is under Q. So it's here, the dam volume here. So it's 1251, and that is 10 to the power of 3 cubic meters. So a lot of water. It's a big dam. So let's just have a look. This here is just all of the dams in Australia. And I've highlighted in green some of the dams that are our water supply dams. We've got the Enoggera Reservoir, and that's here in Brisbane, Queensland. It was built in 1866, and it is, what is it used for now? Purpose is, main purpose is S. Yeah, it's not used for any others. I don't think I've never actually been there. I wonder if you can recreate on it or enjoy recreation. So that's a water supply dam built, over, 100 years ago, 150 years ago. So you can see here just all the dams that we have. The Gold Creek Reservoir, built in Brisbane, Queensland. It was built, 1885. supply of water and the dam types. It shows you what it all is. Well, see the dam types, and we'll jump back here. You've got that's the purpose. You've got the type and ceiling, face, internal core, and these are the types. TE is earth fill embankment, ER is rock fill, concrete gravity, buttress, arch, multiple concrete arches. So, if you're into engineering, because it's quite interesting. And they also have, what's actually pretty cool, is the engineers. If we go over here, you can see the engineer who did the dam, who constructed the dam, and any special footnotes, if there's a power station attached to it. And, it's worth just going through to have an understanding of these large dams. And if we scroll all the way down, we can see the most recent dams that have been built in Australia. And one of them I want to talk about is here in Bow Desert in Queensland. And that is the Warragamba Dam. And it was built in Bow Desert in Queensland. And the interesting thing about that, it was started in 2006, finished in 2011, and it has a capacity or height of 48 meters, 490 meters long. The dam volume is 218,300 to the power of 10 to the power of 3 meters cubed. So how many megaliters is that? A fair bit. And the surface area, oh wow, a lot. So its main purpose is for water supply. Now, the interesting thing with this dam is that when they built it and when they finished it, they plugged it in 2010. And then 25 days after they plugged it, just to keep the water in, we had the big flood here in Queensland. And the dam filled up straight away. And then it started overflowing. So that was helping mitigate some of the flood water, which is a good thing. And this is, fresh drinking water. There is some minor recreation use you can have there. It's not the primary use of the dam. But what else? What other dams have been built? I mean, you've got here the ACT ones. And you can have the city, special features, the dam type. So what do we have here? An I dam. What's an I dam? Let me have a look at that again in the glossary of terms. The use of an I dam is irrigation. So you've got irrigation, all these irrigation dams, water supply. So, if you're interested in seeing just all the dams, the large dams that have been built in Australia, when they were built, when the biggest ones were built, it's a good thing to look at. It's a good thing to consider, because there's more and more talk about looking at infrastructure projects to help stimulate our economy. Now, the issue with projects at this scale is they take time to build, but I'm sure there's some on the drawing board that could be pushed out to try and improve our water security for future generations. I mean, you got the Von Bidbra Dam. Let's have a look at WA. They've got a whole lot of recent dams here. Where is it? You've got the owners over here. WA Water. I think I saw Palmer somewhere. He was in Queensland, maybe. Where's the owners here? The owners, SEQ Water, Sun Water, Stanmore Corporation, Sun Water. So, Queensland Water Infrastructure. And these are only the big dams, guys. These are not the small ones. And a lot of them have been decommissioned. Some of them have been decommissioned and have switched to recreational dams from water usage. So in New South Wales, there are a fair few dams. And, we've got, for the large dams, there are 2,250 dams, weirs, catchments, and barrages in New South Wales. 135 of them are considered major dams. Okay, so we have a lot of dam infrastructure, but, how much of it has been built at the scale that we need? And if we're having UN come in and step in and want to, shame the government into making, to really stop us from increasing our water security, what are we going to do? I think people need to be educated more about dams. They need to be educated about the wider environmental and economic impacts of their decisions. Right now we've got Bob Brown is protesting wind power in Tasmania. what is he going to, and he's a former Greens leader, what is he going to have left for us to generate power? What's going to be left? Nothing. He's against hydro. He's against everything. So that's the problem. All of these things have a positive and a negative. It needs to be assessed sensibly, and it isn't. It isn't being assessed. Guys, let me know what you think about all of this. Do you think that foreign bodies should have a say on, our water security of our country? Are you concerned about the water security? Do you think private enterprise could build things of this scale, and would it be even possible? If anyone knows of any organizations that are, private business, so the libertarian anarchist approach have built dams this big, I'd be interested to see. And don't tell me a private business in China, because, guys, that doesn't count. So, yeah, I thought I'd talk about this. I think this will be an issue that should be discussed more and more. And the fact that we've got towns that are running out of water is not a good sign. Not a good sign for a civilization. Not something Australia should be proud of. Personally, I think we may have been leaving it a bit too late, but it needs to be discussed, and we need to look at ways that this can be addressed. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining me for this episode of Heiser Says. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. Tell me, what's your favorite dam? How many of you have fond memories of going to a big dam as a child? Because they're very impressive to see. I need to take the kids camping again. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.